Hello class, this is Meryl, the librarian that works with the English department. For your final essay, you are writing about code switching in contemporary American films, and you are going to choose from one of the 4 films to focus on. Since you need at least 3 outside sources for your essay, this video will take you through how to find those sources, both in the library databases and on the web. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to ask is, what type of information do you need? And I'm going to identify 3 different types of information. One is you want to look for a review of your film. You want to see what film critics have to say about it. Second, you want to look for information about your film's director. And finally, you want to look at the role of race in contemporary American films. So that will be something that will be broader than just the film, your specific film. So we're going to start by looking for information in the library databases. So to get to the library databases, go to the library homepage, and we're going to scroll down to this heading, Library Resources, and click on this page right here, Search Databases. And this will take you to our list of databases. So for this assignment, I recommend, and I'm going to show you 2 different databases. And this Proquest at least should look familiar from your earlier essay. So I'm going to start in Proquest, and I'm going to click on it. And at this point is when you will need to log in. Ignore that information in there. You'll need to log in with your Triton ID. And faculty log in differently, so don't pay attention to what I'm putting in here. And, of course. Let's try it again. Sorry, it's running a little slow today. There we go. And so now we are in Proquest. So the first type of information I want to look for, I'm going to show you how to look for, is to find a review of your film. And the best way to search for, you can search for a specific review, and you want to make sure that you don't get just a bunch of articles that are not reviews. So the way to do that is start by typing in the title. And I'm going to do "sorry to bother you" will be my example, and make sure you use quotation marks. That will keep this, have the database search exactly in that phrase, and that because it is a title, you want to keep that together. You don't want it to be looking for those random words all over the place. And then the next thing I want to do is I'm going to check full text. This is very important. This will make sure you have the entire article. And then we're going to scroll down to these boxes, and this is where we can really focus our search quite a bit. And in this box of the type of source, I would say we want to look specifically at newspapers and magazines, because those will be the main sources where we're going to find some reviews from film critics. And then if we go to document type, we can get even more specific, and I'm going to scroll all the way down to, this is an alphabetical list, and I'm going to see right there, you're going to see review. And at this point, that's going to do it. So now I'm going to do a search. And hopefully by putting these limits on it, we should get a nice short list. We only have 42 results, which is perfect because that's an easy number to scroll through. And you can see here we have we have both magazines. You can see the icon here. And we have newspapers, and that's exactly what we were looking for. So let's look at the first one. Sorry to bother you. This is from a magazine called Sight and Sound, which would be a good resource to look at in terms of finding a review. And you can see the review right in here. And it looks like it's a couple pages, and that's really what you're looking for. You want to make sure any review you find is more than just a couple of sentences. You want to have some information, summary, and some bit of critique involved. So if I want this article, I think I showed you in the earlier video about for your previous essay, but just to kind of remind you, you can download it, you can email it to yourself, you can print it, you can put it into your Google Drive, if this is working. There we go. Down here, you click this, it'll automatically put it into your drive for you. And also it will generate citations, and Proquest citations are up to date. I can't remember the last video I made, I might have said that they were out of date, but they have since updated them. So you can copy and paste this, and again, just double check it as we talked about. Make sure that it's correct, but it's definitely at least the 8th edition as opposed to an earlier one. So that's an easy search to find a review. I want to go back to results for just a minute because I want to show you, if you do use a newspaper, make sure that the article has some substance. So I'm going to look at some of these newspaper ones just to see what they're like. And you can see here, sometimes this will be called a review, and you can see basically you've got one sentence, and that's really, the database classifies it as review, but that is not enough. That is not enough of an article to give you the kind of information that you need. You need more substance. So just remember that as you begin to search, and particularly in newspapers, you might find something that's short. Okay, so that is Proquest. The other database I want to show you is Academic Search Premier. I'm going to click on that. And we can do the same thing in here. We can do the same type of search. We can search on the title of the film and put in review, or we can go scroll down here and narrow it between review and a newspaper. So you can do that in this database or in Proquest. But in this database, I want to show you how to find information about your director, since that is the second piece of information you'll want to look for. And I'm going to just search for Spike Lee. So what I recommend is whoever the director is, just put in the name. And then remember to apply certain limiters. The most important one here is full text. Remember, you need to have the full text article in order to, for your essay. And the other thing you may want to do, you can just leave it at that, and you can click on a periodical, you could look at a newspaper. You also might want to look at the document type and consider limiting it to interviews, because interviews would be a great place to get an interview with the director of the film, which would be really informative. So let's see how that does for us. Okay, another good search. We got about 40. And here we have the very first one is right here. It's in a magazine called Crisis, and you can scroll down. Here's another one from Time Magazine, which is maybe a publication you have heard of. I'm just going to open that one up real quick. And you can see, let's look at the PDF of this one. If there's a PDF, always good to look at that, because if there are any pictures, you want to be able to see those also. And here's the coming up. It's taking a little while. Sorry about that. Okay, while that's loading, I'm going to remind you the same tools on the side here. You can put it in your Google Drive, you can print it, you can email it to yourself, and they also have a site generator. Let's see if we can finally get this out. There we go. So 6 questions. So here it is right here, and it took a while to load because there's a lot of graphics on here. Yeah, so it looks like it's just this first page. Really, the interview is right here, but this is certainly a good bit of information for you. So keep that in mind also. So interviews, again, especially if you're want to learn about your director, interviews are excellent resources. And then the last piece of information is to do a broader search and to get information about the history of how race is portrayed in American cinema. So for that, we're going to broaden out our search quite a bit, and we're going to do Black or African Americans, and we're going to say film. Let's say we want to look at other film directors. We could do a number of different things, and for that, we are also going to do a search. And we got some results here. And for this one, we might want to take off the interview feature and just make sure it's full text. We certainly got a lot more. That changed our search quite a bit. But here you have different articles which just give you kind of a broader look at the role of race in film. It might not address your specific film, but it can provide you with some historical information, some background, and some context for understanding your film. So remember that these 3 pieces of information that you want to find, you can use either one of these databases. You just want to change up your search to get the type of information that you need. Okay, so those are the databases. The last thing I want to show you before I do a brief talk about citations more of a reminder is I'm just going to do a couple quick web searches, just so you want to make sure that you end up finding information on reputable websites. And there's ways to kind of somewhat focus your search, even though it is different than searching in the databases and when you're searching in Google. But here's an example. Let's do the 40-year-old version. And again, I'm going to put it in quotes to keep it as a title. And I'm going to just type the word review. And hopefully this will give me reviews and not a whole bunch of other junk. And it's going to give me fan reviews, which is Rotten Tomatoes. And we're not going to be using Rotten Tomatoes for this particular essay since it is a fan site. You want to see what film critics are saying about the film. And so here's one in the New Yorker. The New Yorker is an excellent magazine. So if you find anything in the New Yorker, particularly articles in there, chances are you are going to get a really informative and thoughtful review. So you can see that here, and you can see here's Richard Brody, the reviewer. So you can scroll down and see what else we have. Take a look, make sure you look at the publications, The Guardian, Vanity Fair. These are all well-known sites. Variety, so those are good. The Chicago Defender is actually an African-American publication out of Chicago. So that might be one that you would definitely want to take a look at, because they might, as a Black person writing a review, you might get a different perspective, and you definitely want to be looking for the different perspectives and different critiques. So keep all that in mind. Okay, so those are your searches. The very last thing I just want to remind you, this guide I put together is linked in your Canvas class. And again, it has the template, but it also has citation examples that you may want to be using for this particular essay. And on this side, you can see different articles. And on this side, I have examples of how to cite the interview. So that is it. If you have any questions, I'm going to jump back here, sorry. Here is my information. Don't hesitate to shoot me an email. Don't call me, I'm not in my office that much. Email is definitely much quicker, okay? Thanks for watching. Have a great day.